And I like my speakers to have 700 horsepower.
Big crackle.
Okay, I think we're up and
Are we up and running?
Yep.
All right. All right. Welcome, everybody. 034 live number 60. That's exciting. Yeah, I know. We retire in the next 20 episodes.
It's America.
Yeah, no. So welcome again. Q&A session. Ask us questions. We answer them. As always, we're happy to weigh in on controversial topics, car stuff that you've always wondered about. Nobody ever gave you a straight answer. We'll give you a straight answer, even if the straight answer is there's no straight answer.
Right. Because many times it's a muddy, complex,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, there's this
multi-factored thing.
thing where like everyone likes to become polarized in one direction or variable or another, and there's never just one.
Yeah, and that's
One thing.
honestly that's one thing to a huge litmus test if you're asking questions online or whatever. Get some individual or group or whatever that's just giving you one answer. That's the only way it could be. Is usually not the case.
Yeah. So please ask your questions in the various formats that you're in right now, and then our team will transcribe those into our question system, which Nate and I use to find out what the questions are, since we don't necessarily
Question
have to
delivery
be
system
on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
I do have things open, so I am monitoring as well. But
Yes. Some people are very, very obsessed with the fact that you're
I'm
looking
at a
laptop
computer
while you're doing
and trying to
this.
make sure this thing's working.
Just can't keep it.
I kept on like Howard Stern, like who's the guy who was like doing all the sound effects, and he's like behind the computer, Fred, right?
Fred.
Oh, I'm
Nate's Fred.
Fred.
Yeah. At least you're not Baba Booey or whatever, you know. All right, we have some questions rolling in here. Someone says, besides injectors, are there other fueling components I should check? Assuming this is 3.0 T B8.
We can just do this,
Oh,
we can do this for all of
we
them.
talked about injectors last
We did. So yes, injectors, DI injectors, or any injector for sure.
FSI.
We've I can't think of a time we've sent a higher mileage set of injectors out where they've all come back perfect.
Not once. Zero.
Not once.
Zero times.
So there's always going to be some benefit to putting this into your 30,000 mile, whatever 40, 50,000 mile maintenance routine, depending on I guess how bad they were the first time. And that's just for the injector cleaning. And there's companies like we use RC Engineering quite a bit for injector cleaning and servicing.
That's who we use.
And they'll flow them before, so you get a state. And doing this, you always want to try and maximize the amount of information you're getting out of it. So as you pull the injectors, put them in a Ziploc baggie, each one per baggie, number the baggie, and then bundle all that up and ship it off to RC. RC will then flow them as they're numbered, so you know exactly what injector came out of what cylinder, what it was, what its flow rate was before and after. So
Right.
that's the best way to keep all that in line, so you know what, if any, effect you might have had from it. And then secondly, there's all the other components of the fuel system. There's the pumps, the filters. A lot of these cars have multiple pumps now. You've got a low pressure and a high pressure pump, and then a filter between those. So
Filters need to be maintained.
filters need to be maintained. Actually, today there was a guy on the I think it was the B8 form, had swapped out his 100,000 mile fuel filter and cut it open, and it was just a black mess inside.
Really?
So yeah, it's one of those things, and it's easy to overlook on these cars too, because that filter is kind of buried down in the tank on a lot of these cars, because they do it all in this one uniform assembly now that goes down in the tank. So most people are like, I don't even have a fuel filter. But yeah, it's there. Still needs to be serviced.
Yeah, but I would say whenever on any Audi or Volkswagen, whenever the FSI injectors have either been removed or you have access to remove them, you should, and just send them out and get them cleaned. It seems like it's as big of a deal as carbon cleaning.
Yeah, and I think it's very commonly overlooked. And I mean, there's a lot of cars too where the injectors just fail. The TSIs were pretty rampant. There's the older like CEPA and CEPB original TTRS stuff. Those injectors have had known issues. So it's one of those things you may want to just budget a fresh set of injectors every 50K or something, just to stay on top of it.
Yeah. Good question. Someone says, my 2 cents on B9 3.0 T tuning. I will not be purchasing until there is on-the-fly map switching for ethanol and pump gas. Okay, well, I mean, that's your choice. We don't have that yet. And we are currently, we have a certain amount of engineering capacity and resources, and we can do certain things with that capacity, and so we have to decide, if map switching on the cruise control stock or whatever is a better, more important feature than all the other stuff that we don't have time to do.
Generally, like, actual calibration refinements
Right.
and performance.
Making the car faster.
The actual calibration itself, not necessarily
Yeah.
the method of switching between.
It's interesting too. This has rarely come up until
And it's honestly it's
Mary
it's,
B9
so
3.0.
we do multiple octanes for every other platform. The only time this has really been this much of a need has been the B9 platform.
Yeah, completely.
And that's just because of some entrenched, I guess, expectation at this point.
Yeah, but I guess I would ask you or anyone like you to weigh all the variables. So yes, you need to have a Wi-Fi connection and a laptop, and then you can flash your car whenever you want.
Yeah.
But what else are you giving up? So if you're not going to go with our tuning, then what are you giving up to stay on whatever you're on? And it could be safety, power, smoothness, all those things. So, you're giving up a lot of meat for some side dish, and we may very well have it sooner than later. It's going to be up to, it's not like we can't do it. We just have to decide,
it's just a prioritization
is this how we want to prioritize our time and energy? And the tuning has been selling very well. So it's not like we're sitting here trying to figure out how to get people to buy it. We're selling a lot.
Rather than
Well, that's got enough.
Yeah. We will, if we decide to do it, we will probably not do it exactly the way that other people have done it. And we will try to Nick's point, add something to it, make it even better. But right now, from our point of view, from an engineering point of view, it seems like it's obviously a feature a lot of people want, but as far as what we're giving the customer, we feel like there's a lot better ways to spend our time than to do map switching. But we haven't decided. And if you'd like to wait or you choose not to purchase our tuning, we have to accept that because we are making choices about how we spend our time. And we feel that we probably be more successful if we pursue actual substantive features in the tuning and not map switching.
Yeah, because it's not like you cannot switch maps or you're limited.
You can absolutely
switch maps.
You can do it just about anywhere,
And our flashing guidelines, generally we want you to be plugged in. We want you to be in as stable a connection as possible. But in reality, that's rarely the case. So I'm not gonna promote it, but yeah, at track switching,
we've done many
it's
at the track.
Yeah. So obviously we want you to be in the most ideal situation for that, as always. But it hasn't held up. Hasn't really held anybody back.
No. So thank you for the feedback. We appreciate it.
Yeah. No, we absolutely want to know what's keeping you or what your concerns are.
Yeah. Ultimately, anything we do is going to be to please the customers, please you guys, and we have to make choices about what we think people will want and what will allow us to sell more tuning, what will better satisfy the customers, and obviously we get a lot of feedback about other things too. People want advanced launch control. They want advanced TCU features and functionality. They want stage 2. They want stage 3. They want to run 10s. They want to run 9s. Map switching doesn't allow us to do any of those things. And, for months and months of engineering work, if all we have to show is map switching versus a 9-second S4, when we can already do map switching, with some conditions. So that's where our thoughts are. Just want to put that out there so you guys know that we're hearing you and we take all the feedback seriously, but we have to make the choice of what we think is going to be the best for the product and the customer.
Yep.
we're good.
I see that though. This clunking.
SüperDüper, yeah. Well, that's why we put it out here.
Wait, that or the
That too.
yeah.
Yes. You want to talk about SüperDüper?
Yeah.
We can super duper it.
Well, we've talked about this before. This is our SüperDüper charger.
I don't know if have we shown it in metal yet?
Yeah, but not.
I don't think we have.
No, but we talked about it.
Yeah.
So this is a throttle body upgrade that allows an 84 millimeter throttle body to be installed on your 3.0T S4 initially.
Yeah, we'll have more kits coming along for
Yeah.
the SQ5,
SQ5.
A6, A7 stuff. It's just a hose difference between the intakes.
And this product features our cast adapter housing. So this bolts to the supercharger plenum. And then we have a custom silicone hose that goes to our intake. And then we have a stock. Are we really
No, not to the stock airbox because it's
just
kind of useless.
Okay. Yeah, so it's the current hose we have is compatible with our intake. It could be compatible with others with some adaptation.
Yeah, and just like every other kit that's out there, if you want to go to some hybrid multi-brand setup, you're going to have to
Customize.
figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, which probably with with some cutting and some mandrel bends and some clamps, you could probably make anything fit.
It's not the most complex.
We're releasing this week. We're gonna have power numbers.
We're working on it.
Yeah. Our goal is to release with our final tested power numbers. We obviously have a lot of power numbers for this.
Yeah.
We know it makes more power, but we have a very specific methodology that we use to create advertised power. So
Yeah. We have before. I mean, it's just we always, for any power adder, we'll get a vehicle set up and really isolate just that component. And get a series of runs before and after that one change, trying to eliminate as many other factors as possible, just to kind of highlight where that power is coming from.
Yeah,
yeah, and it's sounds easy, but it's one of those things that's you're chasing 1,000 variables, trying to lock them down, make that happy and coordinated, and then change just this one. But, it's just a matter of time.
The key is what we don't do, which is just a glory pull. When it's really cold out, and that won't be representative
a different
of,
day or a
of
different
what anything.
car or a different. This is like parts like this will be changed on the dyno. We'll do multiple runs before, after, and before again, just to make sure we're normalized.
And average numbers.
And then it's averaged of multiple runs. Yep.
So our goal is for anyone to be able to go out there and replicate those numbers or beat them.
Yeah.
But the last thing we want is people to be disappointed because we had some one-off. Glory.
And we'll have numbers with both pressure drop data, power data, meaningful information to go along with the product versus just up to 1,000 horsepower gain or something like that.
And this is a original equipment manufacturer BMW throttle body. Mm-hmm. This would be the same company that made it for BMW for that application, for a V8 application. This unit flows a lot more than the stock throttle body. Just from a CFM point of view, we will publish all those numbers. And then the name is just tongue in cheek. This is a cast aluminum housing with a throttle body. The super part or the ultra part isn't very complicated, but the tuning and calibration that we've done to make this work. Mm-hmm. With great drivability and the improved power is what really makes this whole thing work well. Yep. We don't have to modify the throttle body. There's another company that have to take this apart and modify and reverse it. We don't have to do that. We do that all in the software.
And then there's an adapter harness plug in between the two. But yeah, that's it.
And it doesn't look like a hot dog. It just looks like a normal harness. A wiring harness.
Yep, six wires.
Adapts the connectors. So, we're very excited to release this. It's going to be at a market-beating price. Not sure. The original APR Ultracharger is ridiculously overpriced. I don't know. I mean, I don't. I guess they were the first to bring it to market, and they called it Ultra, so they could charge a lot of money. But there's some other competitors on the market now, and I believe we're coming in below everyone else because we can. I mean, this.
Oh God! This is still.
Yeah. So. $1,300. Dear God, $1,259. So ours will be almost a third that price.
Yeah.
Depending on what you buy.
Thereabouts. Yeah.
But yeah, no. So we have retail prices. Why don't we throw those out there? Do you know what they are?
$595.
So $595 for the entire kit. including the throttle body. And then we also have a cheaper kit, sans throttle body. So in case you already have one, I strongly recommend buying the full kit and not trying to go out and source your own throttle body. But if for some reason you already have one, definitely do what you can. But yeah, no. So it's a great price. And this does give you more power. It's not as much as maybe some people have thought in the past. We'll publish exactly what, but there's power gains basically above 5,500 in the top of the power band. The stock throttle body has no trouble flowing enough up to that point.
Yeah. Just with any intake, it's only at the the limit of what it can flow where you're going to see gains.
Yeah. So and that's how flow improving devices should work. So. All right.
Let's talk about this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the question is, I noticed clunking from my transmission after flashing.
This E10 Full.
Was this person posting on Facebook yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the customer.
Yes.
And absolutely spamming Instagram.
Yes.
Okay.
So the concern in theory here is that our transmission tune and ECU tune cause a clunk to appear in the drivetrain when you tap the throttle, pretty much any time, regardless of whether or not any of your transmission mounts have been changed, replaced, diff inserts, etc. The theory here is that our transmission tune, for some reason, creates a clunk.
Yeah, no, that's simply called driveline lash. If all your mounts are good, that's literally just the slack in your driveline. We have a much faster throttle response. On purpose, so you have control over your engine's response and output. So if you're driving along, you just smack the gas, you're going to get a rapid change.
With the supercharger's ability to give instantaneous
anything.
boost.
I mean, with almost any motor, but we take out a lot of the really numbed throttle feel that the OEM tunes have, and a lot of calibrators leave in where it's basically a sponge on the end of the pedal. That also translates into the torque requests, and this can show up in the shifts as well, where it's a crisper shift. There's not a lot. I mean, it's a mechanical lash issue. So
so if you ever go under your car and you grab the drive shaft and you kind of go back and forth, it clunks, goes chung chung chung. There is this lash in the drivetrain. All your CV axles have it, and then there's even lash between the gears and the different transmission components. I have either experienced this and thought it was perfectly fine, or this person has something much worse than that.
Yeah, and some drivelines, can be a lot worse than others. It depends on
the age and the wear.
The age, the wear, all the components together. It's not. It can be mount related. It can be simply driveline related. It can be anything from a CV joint on its way out to gear lash, in one of the diffs.
But has this person actually changed all their?
The person that brought it up, no. A bunch of other people have entered the conversation and said they have, and it still persists.
Yeah, and then some people are saying that the 1-2 shift is harsh. That's again, you're dealing with very high torque multipliers from the engine to the wheels basically because of your gear reduction. So it amplifies all that as well. And it is a crisper shift, and it can amplify any lash that's there. We can't make drivelines clunk.
There's nothing wrong with whatever sound is happening. There's nothing wrong with it as far as from a mechanical
from whatever we're able to do to a driveline, we can't make it clunk.
Yes, we could artificially dumb the throttle down, which is kind of funny because then you've got these like pedal defenders and the what is that called?
Oh, there's that stuff. Yeah, there's not the pedal, the sprint booster.
The sprint booster, which actually makes it way faster.
To a point, but that's still dampened with ECU again.
Yeah.
So there's only so much you can do there. But
this is the same as if you were driving I bet manuals do it.
Nope, it's all the same. The ECU dumbs it down. The ECU will walk all that. If you have the same tune on
a manual,
it's
going to do it there too. So, no, I mean, if I don't know, I guess we could offer a dumbed down throttle map.
It's been requested.
That seems really silly, considering like how terrible a lot of the transmission tunes on the market are, like barely drivable.
Some have stated that they only noticed it once they switched from a competitor file. To
Well, yeah,
our
they didn't modify any of
Yeah.
the dampening, so they've got a much slower, softer response.
So I guess that would be the question: is would you like slower, sloppier throttle, or are you okay with this sound from your drivetrain?
Someone's saying same TCU in the manual. No, we're simply trying to tell you it's isolated. It's not necessarily the TCU that's doing it. It's the driveline lash you're dealing with. So.
Right. That actually proves the point.
That's the guys. They want that file.
Well, I think I just did.
Yeah.
So if people have feedback on that, I mean, I don't know if we'll do it just because.
And I mean,
We're
it's
not
one of
really
those things. Like some people are
things
saying, like
worse.
it's random in 1-2. Yeah, the DSGs are very particular with temperatures, with
Whatever inputs
run
they
conditions. With the OEM files can be pretty dramatically different on what the shift feels like.
Also, how is
from
this like
time
a
to time.
thing now after like these two
I know
different TCU tunes been on the market for like 4
This
years.
is blowing up, because I mean, 99% of the other files out there just slip massively between shifts, and I guess
Right.
that's less of an issue.
Maybe we should have just been bragging about this for the last 4 years. Then it would be like a feature. I mean, it is technically a feature.
They want confirmation / clarification that the harsh shifts aren't bad inherently, and that the lash isn't bad.
Well, it depends on the vehicle. I mean, we can't diagnose mechanical.
No, okay.
Symptoms.
Let me answer that clearly. That there is nothing wrong with what our TCU tune does. Any sound you hear is from your drivetrain, is from the inherent slop and lash in the various drivetrain components, which builds and is additive throughout the drivetrain. Now, could you have excessive lash in your drivetrain? Yes. Could you have a worn out CV joint? Yes. Could you have a worn out drive shaft center bearing? Could there be components in your transmission that are worn that are increasing the amount of lash or slop? Yes, that's possible. We're not here to diagnose those problems for any given car. But what we can say is on a car with a normal, brand new, let's just say a brand new drivetrain, like a brand new B8 S4, would make this sound because of the speed and accuracy with which our TCU tune shifts and the removal of the throttle damping. So what throttle damping means is you push the throttle down and the ECU says, there's some drivetrain lash and people's butts have gotten really tender. So why don't we slow down the throttle opening? So we say, no, people's butts are just fine. They want to go fast. So we reprogram that. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's supposed to be like that.
You don't even have to hit the throttle to go faster. Just tap it and it makes a clunking sound. Yes, it's because the engine's transitioning from accel to decel.
Right.
That's literally hitting the gas to make it go faster. The
But
engine's going faster for a moment.
if the engine doesn't produce any torque, then nothing can happen in the drivetrain. The drivetrain is just along for the ride. So yes, when you tap the throttle, your engine sends torque into the drivetrain, and it loads up that lash in the drivetrain. There's nothing wrong with it. And again, we've never had a failure associated with this or a problem, and no one's even brought this up until now. I mean, it's literally been years, years and years of selling this tune. So if people want to know if there's anything wrong with it, no, we do it on purpose, and it's not hurting anything. But
I mean, if
it
you
does
want,
make
if you want to be able
sound.
to just drive down the street tapping on your, tapping to the beat of the music, I guess you need like the stock mapping to kind of get all that out. But a pedal response on the accelerator, we feel, should translate into action at the wheels. So
That's how a sports car is.
Tapping on the gas even a little bit, that should translate to a little bit of something happening in the driveline. So
Now, if you have blown motor mounts, which is very common on this chassis, like literally your engine is not attached to the motor mount and it's just kind of bouncing on there, then this will be greatly amplified. Or if you have a bad transmission mount, there are. It's hard to say, like, one clunk is not the same as another. So
yeah, stuff like this is really hard for us to also diagnose with any kind of certainty.
We have no idea.
We're just giving you a lot of things to that it could be.
Someone's saying there's a clunk. That's all we know.
Yeah.
But
It could be the bottle of propane in the back of your trunk. We've had similar things that have been clunks that people have been trying to diagnose.
if you want an awesome example of a car that does this, go drive like a GT3 RS. Like, it's like bam, boom, and then like noises, and that's how those cars are. You know? So they're not damping the throttle. They don't do that. You know, because that's not what's best for driving fast. But we are creating a smooth linear power band with
it's not to be
the throttle
confused
opening.
with the amount of power per pedal
It's
input.
the throttle
it's,
damping.
it's the actual response. So as you move
Right.
that pedal in finite rapid movements, you get finite rapid results. And requests from the ECU.
Yeah, but we're not necessarily opening the throttle a lot more. We're, to Nate's point, when your foot hits the throttle, how fast does the ECU respond is what we're optimizing. So
He asks if it's the clutches engaging or
The clutches are generally, are engaged. You're in a DSG.
when you're in a gear,
yeah.
they're engaged, and you're rolling. They only disengage when you stop.
If you want to explain lash, maybe the gear splines of gears.
Yeah, well, like I said, in the drive shaft, there is inherent slop.
I don't know if you could hear Nick's question. He was asking if we could explain more to what lash is and driveline lash.
Yeah. So when power leaves the crankshaft, it goes through the flywheel and into like on a manual transmission, it goes into the clutch. The clutch can disconnect the drivetrain from the engine when you depress the clutch pedal. But there is no solid connection from the crankshaft to the tires.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how there could be, right? So what you have is a transmission, which is filled with gears, and these gears interface. And every gear set has lash. So if gears interface too tightly, they will wear each other out and destroy each other very quickly. And if they're too far apart and there's too much lash, then they will also destroy each other. So there is a spec for any gear that allows a certain amount of lash, which is also takes into account the type of fluid and viscosity that you run, and so there's this amount of slop between all the gears and all the drivetrain components, and this extends into the drive shaft. There is a CB joint on each end that has lash. There's a center bearing with a U joint in it, and that can have lash.
Well, all the way in, even directly behind the motor, there's your dual mass flywheel.
The dual mass flywheel, which DSGs have, has lash built into it. So the friction surface and the flywheel itself, do this. And then the differential has lash, and then your rear CVs have lash. So there is no solid connection. And if you've ever seen a race car, they kind of throw NVH out the window, and so at idle the gears are just like that sound you hear when there's that race car, like a real race car, like a Porsche from the 80s. All the gears are just rattling against each other. The drivetrain lash, there's no damping whatsoever, and that's because those cars use dog gears, so the gears are straight cut and they just interface directly. Road vehicles use synchromesh gears, and so when you've seen gears that are helical, and so they interface at angles to each other, that reduces the NVH and to a degree the lash. But lash is normal. It's built into the drivetrain because the drivetrain is not one solid assembly. Your bike chain has lash. Any device,
basically any
has,
moving part has to test a push or pull something else.
Any mechanized vehicle. Electric cars can optimize it because they can get rid of a lot of those drivetrain components.
Yeah, it's just
a lot of them don't even have
components of lash, but
they don't even have transmissions.
Yeah, but you still got CVs, you still got
So there's some there. But yeah, this lash is normal, and what the OEMs do to minimize the effects, or even the fact that almost nobody even knows about this, is that they dampen the throttle so that when power hits the transmission, it slowly loads it up over a period of time, and that allows those gears to slowly engage each other before they're engaged. Now, when you whack it with power, instead of bringing it slowly, those components ramp up faster. It doesn't hurt them, or it's not reducing the life of anything. If you don't like the way it sounds, I can't argue with that.
No, so much of it, and it may come down to just relearning how to drive a car with a little different, strategy on that too. where tapping the gas or doing abrupt inputs is going to get you an abrupt output. That's it's tough to tailor it both ways.
Yeah. All right, let's keep moving forward. Someone says, why are you guys so terrible at customer service? Reply to your emails in a timely manner and get someone answering the phones. Okay, so we looked. This person emailed us at 8 a.m. today. It's now 11:30. There's a really, really good chance you'll get a response. You would have gotten a response today. We're currently in a 0 to 1 day response time with customer service. We're doing pretty well right now. I'm sorry you're not happy with our customer service. We are actually good at customer service. So if your standard is instant responses to emails, I don't know of a company in the industry that's doing that. We are still not answering phones because we can respond to emails much more quickly than phone calls. And if we were, it sounds like a great idea for us to answer phones.
If it's just you calling?
Yeah, if you're the only person,
that's the
only
trouble.
customer. But if you call and it's busy or you get put on hold for 45 minutes, that's not good customer service and that's not going to be a good experience for you. So our position is that you emailing at 8 a.m. and getting a response by 3 p.m. is the best case scenario versus you having a really bad experience trying to call us. And then not only do we not get back to you, but we don't get back to the rest of our customers, and we actually extend customer service responses even more. So we actually have the data and the information to know how to best use our resources here. From the outside, you could probably guess at a lot of great things we could do, but on the inside, we know what's actually going on, and we make the best decisions that we can with the reality that we're in. And our goal is to give the best customer service. So
nobody benefits from us having terrible service.
No, I mean that's like a death wish for us. So you will get a response today, sir, and apologize for your frustration. But we will get back to you, and we do pride ourselves on our customer service. So hopefully, once you get a response and get what you need, that hopefully your opinion changes a little bit. But we're always open to feedback. But we won't be turning phones back on real soon because, again, we're busier than we have ever been. We're growing, and the best way we can give the best customer service is through email responses.
Yes, and so many of these issues are either of a technical or
we need
an intricate nature where we either have to do some research, look up an order, we have to look up some other issue, we have to request more information from you that might take time to go gather. All of that is so much better documented in an email chain.
It is.
To do that over phone, then that just means that now our customer service guys have to then transcribe that entire conversation into an email chain already, so that they can keep a record of it. And it's a lot more work for everybody to try and do this over the phone, and usually with much less accurate results on your end because now you've got nothing to reference back to.
And way slower. If you could even get someone on the phone, it would be way slower.
We can even schedule a call if it really is.
Yeah. No, and if it's
not like we don't make phone calls.
Right. If it's super urgent thing, or no, not urgent thing, but if it's a super, voice specific thing for some reason, we can call. We can call you.
We do.
It's fine.
Every day customer service.
These guys are on the phones, but sitting there waiting for inbound calls to put everything on hold, to pick up the phone, to stop researching someone else's issue to deal with yours is very inefficient.
Yeah. Yep. It sucks seeing someone frustrated. There's got to be more to it than he emailed 3 hours ago. I don't know. Maybe he tried calling us all last week or something, but hopefully we can get him taken care of. ETA on B9 3.0 Full TCU tune.
One more thing I do want to chat about that, though. Don't send an email saying, can someone call me? This needs to be done over the phone. Send an email telling us what your problem is. So if we have to call you and talk to you over the phone, we have information.
We're just going to respond and say, can you tell us what's going on?
You've wasted a support cycle. So just give us as much information as you can. Typing out an email is a very accessible thing to do these days.
It's actually easier and more convenient for everyone.
I can't think of a time when an email wasn't easy.
There was a company recently I had a customer service issue with, and I had to call them. And I was like, can't I just email you?
That's what hours they open? When can I?
Well, of course I called and they didn't answer, and I had to leave a message. And I still don't think I've actually gotten anywhere with them.
and then waiting for inbound calls from an unknown number is
Yeah.
pretty much impossible these days with all the robocalls.
Yep. Okay, ETA on B9 3.0T full TCU tune. We don't have a date for that.
We don't have a date
yet.
for that. We're still we're working more, full steam towards getting the stage 2 stuff out. Likely see that more as we're wrapping up stage 2, working on our stage 3 stuff as it becomes more and more of a requirement. Right now with the stock turbo, it's it's kind of out of steam where it's shifting now already.
There's really no benefit to revving the stock turbo a lot higher than we already are. In fact, we found that there was no benefit to rev it any higher because it's already produced peak power by like 6,000 RPM. So, but for sure we'll need that for stage 3 to take advantage of the additional power of a bigger turbo. So I think we'll be shooting for the fall, this fall for a TCU too.
It's probably reasonable.
Our current B9 3.0T priorities will be releasing stage 2 soon. So keep an eye out for that. And then we have B9 RS5 coming up after that.
Yep.
And then stage 3 will be the focus for B9 for both the S4 and RS5. S4 first and then RS5. UK announcing soon to be mandatory 10% bioethanol fuel E10, which we already have. Any info on this affecting my tune or other potential
That's
issues?
actually what we've been running for a very long time here.
In California, we've had
many
that
states,
for
so it's
a long time.
Yeah, 10% of ethanol blend typically doesn't impact a straight gasoline tune.
No.
They're still required to hit the octane or knock index that the fuel is rated for. So we haven't seen any issues there.
Oh, and then B9.5 ECU updates are being worked on.
Yep, the same as we were at before.
Should be
working on them.
Yeah, our goal is for a soon release. What we were saying is buy it during the sale, and our sale is over.
Yep.
So I think everything's gone up like $100, but
White cost.
it's still cheap. It's still cheaper than everything else. Yeah. But yeah, we will have the 2021 new version soon.
Yep.
ADAS TTRS 21 support. That's also coming soon.
Working on that currently as well.
Yeah. So don't have a date, but Nate was literally working on it last week. So a lot of progress updates. What are the safety systems that remain in place when tuning? I am trying to reconcile the fact that tunes can have a negative impact on long-term reliability while remaining safe. I'll just state generally speaking, engine and turbo systems or supercharger systems or engines in general have a level of stress and load that causes them to wear at various rates. In many cases, increasing the load or the forces or the strain reduces the life some amount. The OEMs do really extensive long-term testing. Like they drive. I know one time we were talking to some Audi engineers, and they were talking about they drove an Audi A4 like 2 million miles. And then they find out all the things that break. So they basically...
That's years worth of data collection.
Yeah, like lifetimes worth of mileage in a very short period of time to collect that information. And the OEMs, they have to build cars that will get through the warranty period with the least number of issues. And so I think I talked about this last time. Like they're typically targeting like 5 failures per million cars or something really, really small, like basically 0. And so because of that, they will run the systems well within their capabilities. Now, we know that things can be pushed harder. We're not the first company to start tuning vehicles. This litter goes back, decades. But even for Volkswagens and Audis and like the Motronic era, starting in the late 90s, we know that there's a lot of built-in unused capacity in turbocharger systems from the factory, and that there is a safe amount of that capacity that can be put to work and eliminated for the benefit of increased horsepower and acceleration. So on the typical Audi 2.0, there's an extra 50 to 75 horsepower just sitting in the stock turbo that's being unutilized. And it's very well known and accepted that you can use that amount of it and really not change the long-term reliability.
Yeah, and so much of that actually comes down to a couple of different things that are not necessarily ultimate performance related. They're more it's kind of an OEM take on it, where say at sea level you hit the gas, you get a certain amount of power. The OEM ideally wants you to be at Lake Tahoe, you hit the gas, you get the exact same amount of power.
Right.
So they'll leave
They have that capacity.
they'll leave either capacity or plan for that capacity to be there, so that you've got the exact same sensation, no matter where you are in the world. We can take that and basically run the motor or run the components at this higher, pretend you're at a higher altitude. All of those components would be doing that day in, day out, no matter what. We can do that at sea level as well. So then you bring that additional headroom down to sea level. Now, will that mean you're going to make a little less power comparatively at altitude? Yeah, but that's going to be a faster car, at a lower altitude. So there's things that are built in where we may not even be exceeding the OEM's, tolerances, but making a lot more power on most of the cars out there. Depending on where they are. So there's overheads that are the OEM uses in a lot of ways as well.
Yeah, I mean, anyone asking themselves this question, it's a perfectly good question, and I've addressed this concern many, many times over the last 20 years, is, you're not the only one doing it, right? So there are cases where people DIY stuff, and they're the only ones, they're figuring it out for the first time. But by the time we bring something to market, it's been extensively tested. Our priority is to bring products to market that do not cause failures. That's a very, very bad outcome.
We would not be able to continue on for very long if we just put out these failure prone solutions.
It's like a helicopter tour pilot doesn't want his helicopter to crash. Do helicopters crash sometimes? Yes, but like the guy's in the helicopter with you. And we're with you when you buy our products. We can't just sell you something and then pretend it didn't break. We're here. It's a small community. Everybody knows who we are. You guys know who I am, Nate. We're very open. So our priority is to always bring products to market that do not fail. But then by the time you do it, there's been hundreds or thousands of customers who have done it as well. And again, this entire thing, what we're doing, say for B9 and B8, is something that we've been doing for years. And so we know how much margin there is. We know what variables to look for that dictate what's stressed. At some point, basically, the issue on all these is the rods are going to bend at some point, at some torque level. Very rarely do turbos have problems.
Usually it's an inherent, either an OEM issue or it's but
the IS38?
Yeah, IS20 and IS38s went through multiple revisions.
It was a problem with their shaft. The turbo shaft was too small, and it would fail on stock cars. So and then of course as tuners tuned it, the turbos failed at even a higher rate because there was even more stress more often. But once the turbo was fixed, the tuning didn't change. Right. So the tuning wasn't really the problem. It was IHI. Yep. They made a shitty turbo, and they ended up, I think, like 5 or 6 revisions at least
to correct that.
No, we like thick, beefy shafts on turbos. So yeah, but it's a perfectly good question to ask.
Yep, they should be asking it. I mean, that's
there have been. I mean, there's one company in particular that had a rash of 2.0T engine failures because they stressed and pushed things too far. Took them way too long to figure it out. There are instances of this happening, but even that company too slowly realized that there was a problem and corrected it. They no longer have this problem with engine failures, but it's a valid concern. But by the the 50th guy who blew up his motor, it was out there. All he had to do was go online and look, and the word gets around. So, like I said, great question to ask. There is this extra capacity, and I don't know, like maybe a stock B9 S4 turbo will go like 600,000 miles, and maybe after we tune it, it only goes 350,000. And we don't even know.
It's one of those
Like,
things
there's-
that's without exhaust,
there's
testing
some-
a huge number of cars to death.
There's very likely
whatever-
some reduction in longevity, but it's well within what anyone would accept in the range of, like, you know, what's possible. So, yeah.
You have outline failures, like random. We had
Of course.
like 1,000
Oh, the OEM
completely stock.
Yeah. Right. There's OEM issues that you know, from the factory. Not every car is assembled perfectly at times, and
Yeah, or there's defective
component
units.
issue, or you
Yeah.
know.
No, again, Audi says, you know, 5 out of a million can fail. So, you know, you got one of those. Of course, then they have recalls, and there are times where they don't get that right, you know. All right. Can 034 publicly share out the engineering priority list? This would help customers understand which projects on the hopper are being. I don't know. We can't. No. You know, find another company that even talks about what they're working on.
Yeah,
I'd love to see.
Our
that.
biggest catch right now is you guys know there's a list.
Yeah, so it's almost
you know,
just
there's
like-
a priority list. We're not just like this black hole.
We've almost created a
you know,
monster.
products pop out of.
Because we talk about it, and then everybody wants to know about it, and then if something happens, you know, there's almost a level of disappointment. We will continue to be as open as we can about what we're working on and what's coming. Just try not to crucify us if it doesn't all go exactly
it's
how it's supposed
such
to.
a hard dynamic where if we talk about something and it's not the answer somebody wants, you know, it's going to take longer or whatever. They get angry at us for not having a product that they can buy, so they're angry at us for not being a customer, and it's a really hard dynamic to juggle.
It's, and you know, and then our response is, well, I guess we shouldn't say anything anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do. I like being open about what we're doing, and I like people knowing, you know, what's coming down the pike. But the only reason they're mad is because we told them. They wouldn't even know about it. I think they'd be on TikTok, you know, checking out OnlyPans if we hadn't said something. So we're going to keep saying stuff, but no, we can't publish it. And then there's a possible problem with, you know, competitors hearing about this stuff, and
We're already exposing ourselves
We are.
way more than any other competitor. In the market
there's been a
with
number
these talks. So.
a number of products where we've heard, like, oh, they said they're going to start working on one. The only reason is, you know, we said something. So, but we're going to keep doing it. We're not worried about, you know, these competitors.
Would your tunes be available for at-home installs in the future? Sorry, I'm just reading a thing here. Yes, our tunes are very
The what?
available for
I
at-home
think that's
installs.
for series.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
CREC, that was the next question coming up. We are working on it. It will be flash at home. I don't have an ETA for you. We have a lot of irons in the fire. It's kind of the theme of the show today.
If I purchase lowering up springs, what other things would you guys suggest to upgrade? Okay, lowering springs. I don't know what kind of lowering springs. Hopefully there were ours. If you did buy ours, I would strongly suggest doing our any sway bar options we have. It doesn't say what application.
Right.
Any inserts that we have, and then
Strut mounts are a no-brainer while you're there
Yeah.
because you gotta compress the springs and do all that anyway. You might as well
Right.
refreshen the strut mounts.
We have-
If again, this is a car that's got such a thing.
we have various options depending. I would start with that. But again, if I knew which application, I could be more specific. But basically, go to our website, put in your car, and then look at all the suspension stuff. That's what we recommend. We do everything for a reason. Using injector cleaners? Particularly
So
the
this
ones
came
that are
this
sold in
came up
Costco?
after our initial injector and fuel injection cleaning. No, those I mean
They don't do
They're
much.
very superficial fix. That we're talking like these injectors come out, they go into an ultrasonic bath, and it's
I wouldn't waste my money on injector cleaners of any kind.
if anything, those from what I've seen also will give you an unknown modification to your octane.
They can. Some of them are octane boosters.
Some are not. Some are the other way. So you're introducing some unknown thing into your fuel system that obviously wasn't accounted for in any of the calibration stuff. So
No, I don't recommend doing that. I would. I don't even know Chevron. I mean, they say it has Techron, all this stuff.
it has additives, and there's fuels that have.
Who knows? I mean, all fuels have additives in them.
Right.
Techron has branded theirs,
Yeah.
but it may not be actually any different than what you get in any fuel. It could be the guy goes over into the in-ground tank and pours a little bottle of Techron in there, and that's supposedly the big thing that I don't know. Maybe there's on tests somewhere that independent tests that someone has done. But now when you need to clean your injectors, they need to be ultrasonically cleaned. Because think about it. I mean, fuel is a very good solvent.
Yeah, gasoline's one of the best cleaners out
You want to
there.
clean something, you freaking clean it in gasoline. It's noxious and terrible, but it's good at cleaning stuff, including varnish, which is what builds up in these injectors. So now you need to ultrasonically.
It's more of a mechanical process. It's really got to get the whatever is in there loosened and pumped out, and they're backflowed. They're ultrasonically clean, so it's more than just pushing fuel through.
You take an injector and you shake it back and forth 10,000 times a second, 15, 20,000 times a second. That's what cleans an injector. And all the shit in there that's not metal just comes off. And then they also have some really powerful solvents they use to clean as well. But unfortunately, FSI injectors are a pain to get out in most cases.
Yeah, it's a tough.
So,
but it depends on the application. A lot of guys are doing, carbon cleanings or doing,
if you're doing a carbon cleaning, you got
why not do an injector?
should
They're not that expensive to send out and get cleaned. You're gonna have a couple days more downtime. If maybe you can budget that in.
Someone is asking what's on our bucket lists. I saw this question last week, and I was like,
Oh, this is very much a Chris question.
Merv? Oh,
My bucket list changes as life goes on. I haven't had really one that's kind of stuck through. It's very family centric right now, so I don't have a lot of personal needs other than making my family work. So
You don't want another V8 twin turbo.
I'd love a lot of those things, but if it's at the detriment to family and life first, then
That's the thing. I mean, certainly at the point that I'm in my life is anything I want, I could do. Anything I want to buy, I could buy. And so I just making choices on how I live and what I do. And it's weird thinking about my bucket list at this point in my life versus 20 years ago, where I had this entire world that I wanted to build and create. Then I had no idea how it would even happen, and now it's happened, and I've done that, and I can do more stuff. And I think I'd love to travel more.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to spend a lot more time in Europe than I've been able to up till now because I've been doing all this. And just as far as bucket list stuff, I'm gonna make sure my kids grow up well.
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that my family is safe and all that. But
yeah, bucket lists are tricky because if you set this one goal that you're determined you have to hit in life for your life to be happy, it can probably pull down a lot of other things that would actually add up to a bigger sum.
Yeah,
than one item.
It depends what they are. If your bucket list is I want to visit these different
Yeah, I'm not saying they all
places
are. It could be a very
or
reasonable thing.
I want to buy a supercar. Those are all things that you can plan for and do.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them aren't bad. If you have it on your bucket list, to buy a home or to buy a McLaren, that bucket list item can drive a lot of other activity and success in your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's a big one, but I don't know. Yeah, for me, there's not I'm living the life I want to live every day. I'm here because I want to be. I eat the stuff I want to eat. I think probably the biggest one for me is just being healthy and good shape for the rest of my life. It's not really a bucket list item, but for me, anything I want to do in the future is kind of dictated.
Live to 150. That's your bucket list. So work on that.
I don't know about that. One of my friends, her great grandma's 114. She's the 16th oldest person in the world. But no, if I could be healthy and in good shape and not die of a heart attack when I'm 60, then I can probably do a lot of other great stuff in life. Yeah. So that's probably my biggest one right now. Got 5 minutes.
Here's an old school one if you want. It's not on the list yet, but it just popped down.
Which one?
Yeah.
I was just wondering how much power the O&E trans holds. I was thinking of swapping into my RS4.
Throw back to the old school stuff here.
Well, you can look at it various ways. One, it's basically the most powerful manual transmission you can put in an Audi. I would say they're good for reliably about 600 foot-pounds of torque.
And it really depends on the application and how you're using it. So, and then which O1E, there's a number,
Well, there's
on
the
where it
narrow.
came from, there's a narrow.
They're all kind of
range,
very similar. There's the early ones that have the narrow first gear, and then there's a wider one. But I haven't even seen a lot of evidence that one's a lot weaker. The biggest issue by far with O&E is the synchros. They fucking suck.
They do. It
And
shifts
you,
terribly.
you will munch second and third synchro eventually, no matter how hard you try. If you're real ham-fisted, you can blow those synchros up in just a couple shifts. So the O&E, and now there's things you can do to address that. There's better upgraded synchros. You can micro polish them. There's different kinds of fluids you can run, but it's just not a good design. Same thing in the HA TTRS. That's what code is that?
O2M?
O2. No.
No, I'm sorry.
X?
No, it's the DM or MQ500.
The manual?
Yep.
Is that what it's called? I thought it had a 3-letter transmission.
It's the MQ500.
Anyways, it's a pile of shit because the same thing. You're going to blow up the synchros. The gears are pretty strong, but once the synchros go, then the gears start to go as well. But yes, for the average RS4, I'd say 99% of them.
Yeah.
Chances are the one that you're going to build, even the craziest version of it that you can think of, it's a great transmission, and it's actually your car comes with one stock. It's a 5-speed O&E.
Yeah.
And there's a 6-speed version as well. But I would say 500-600 foot-pounds of torque. And then above that, it depends, like Nate said, how you use it. You will eventually destroy first or second gear with aggressive launches.
Yeah, and if you're like, a big track junkie and you've got big sticky tires on the car and you're lifting wheels and setting them down on track, that shock loading will play really poorly with those gears as well.
Yeah, so you lift. Typically what happens in drag racing, you launch and you lift the front left tire off the ground and it spins up, and as it comes back down, it sends a shock wave and just rips all the teeth off whatever gear you were in, or it shatters your axle. But they're good transmissions. Again, it's your best option. There are some other, like the OAX, I believe JHM.
There's some iteratives.
Yeah. But you're going to have to spend like a lot of money on just the kit to adapt it to your car. So the O1E will drop in if you give us a little more information about what you're doing. But again, I don't see any issues. Just shift it nicely.
Yeah.
They don't do well with speed shifting.
Or no lift shift strategies on ECUs, from what I hear.
Yeah.
Ask the other Nick about that.
Is that what happened to him? Yeah? Okay. Will you be releasing carbon fiber beautification products for the B9 S5? S4 duct and radiator cover no fit. We do have them. It's good to hear someone asking. They are queued up in our engineering queue. We just weren't sure how popular they were. So, any plans for further C7 platform mods? Already have the sway bar and drivetrain mounts for my RS6. Definitely platform. We're doing power and tuning stuff.
Calibration stuff is certainly on the way. Fueling supply. Power adder stuff is coming. That's kind of next up on our chalk.
Unfortunately, when we started doing Dynamic Plus springs and sway bars, the C7 was kind of right at the older end, and so we didn't do springs, which would have been a good modification, say for your generation RS6. Wait, C7, that's air ride.
Yes.
Yeah. So your car's air ride. Which do we have links for that?
I don't know. We've confirmed
on the
RS6.
Yeah. Hit us up if you have an RS6, and we have C7 lowering links. We just don't know if they fit the RS6.
Again, these are very unscripted answers, so
Yes.
we're just going off the off.
Yeah, no,
our
we don't
memory.
prepare for anything. Even I just found out this was sitting here as
we walked in.
Quick, any update on the 4-inch turbo inlet for DAZA? Yes, it's being made right now. It's being cast. Again, it's going to be a smoking price when we release it. The tooling was very expensive for this part, and so we had to buy a bunch of them, and we're just going to blow them out and try to recoup our costs, and you guys will benefit. And we know we're like the 6th one to market.
Yeah.
But ours has all the features everyone else has and more. It'll accommodate just about any hybrid turbo on the market. So, all right, I think we're out of time.
Yep.
So thanks for joining us once again. Appreciate all the answers.
Questions?
the questions, and appreciate giving answers, and thanks for being honest with us about how you feel about anything, including the issues and problems.
The
that you
goods and
guys
the
brought up.
bads, yeah.
All right, cheers.